Hello and good morning. This is Venkatesh here. Welcome you to IO's Classroom. We are presenting Business Breakfast, which is a quick run through five different business dailies in India, covering two important news from each of the dailies. So today, before getting into the newspapers, quick look at the most awaited news which has come out from the United States. Fed has made a policy statement. So let's look at a quick summary of the Fed FOMC statement. The first one is the Fed kept rates unchanged at 5.5% in what is considered as a hawkish pause. The Fed statement repeated that growth is solid and inflation remains elevated. Fed dot plot shows 12 members of the FOMC still believe they will rise rates by another 25 basis points this year. And the market reaction, instant market reaction, what we have seen is that US dollar rallies, bonds yields spike, and stocks drop. That is what the reaction, what we have seen to the FOMC statement. So the key takeaway for us is the Fed statement sounded very hawkish, and the November rate hike is on the table as the Fed sees stronger growth and higher inflation ahead. So that's about the Fed interest rate statement. Now let's move to today's important news from various newspapers, business dailies in India. Let's look at Economic Times to begin with. We are very close on FTA with India, says UK Trade Minister. India and UK are very close to achieving a mutually beneficial free trade agreement, but the aspects left to agree on are the toughest ones. Britain's Business and Trade Secretary in charge of the negotiations told the parliamentary panel about the same. Kemi Badons was answering questions posed by the cross-party House of Commons Business and Trade Committee, which scrutinizes the work of the Department of Business and Trade on Tuesday when she was asked about the timeline for signing off on the FTA, which has completed 12 rounds of negotiation. Going ahead, the second news, formal job creation under EPFO highest in July since 2018, Labour Ministry. The Employees Provident Fund Organization in India saw a record high in formal job creation, adding 1.87 million net employees provident subscribers to the Provident Fund. However, formal jobs created under Employees State Insurance Corporation fell by 1.9% to 1.98 million in July. The EPFO data shows a trend of increasing youth employment, with 58.4% of new workers in the 18 to 25 age bracket. So let's move to Financial Express. Let's look at some interesting news from Financial Express. Finance Minister urges regional rural banks to speed up digitalization to ensure better services in rural areas. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Tuesday expressed concern over the slow progress of computerization in regional rural banks and urged them to speed up the process to strengthen credit delivery in rural areas. There is still a lot of work to do in digitizing RRBs and cooperative banks, he said after launching the Kisan Rin portal and Weather Information Network data systems here. Cooperative banks are not equally endowed and their financial health varies, he said. Ramping up capacity in the sector is taking place under the Ministry of Cooperation headed by Home Minister Amit Shah. Another news, Indian economy doing well in unsupportive global environment, RBI Monetary Policy Committee member Ashim Goyal. The Indian economy has started doing well even in an unsupportive global environment as the Modi-led government implemented various reforms in the last 9 years, resulting in improvements in key macroeconomic indicators, according to RBI Monetary Policy Committee member Ashima Goyal. But there is still a long way to go to realize India's full potential, Goyal added. The Modi-led NDA inherited double deficit, high fiscal deficit and high current account deficit, high inflation and weak banks, but has improved all this and implemented other reforms so that economy has begun to do well now even in an unsupportive global environment, she asserted. So let's move to the Mint. Akasa Air set to reduce flights after several pilots quit abruptly. The newly launched budget carrier Akasa Air has been forced to reduce flights amid a spate of resignation. CEO Vinay Dubey told employees in an email late on Tuesday that the airline would give up market share in the short term to ensure stable operation. The development came merely days after the company said it had taken legal action against the small set of pilots who left without serving the notice period. Moving ahead, ADB lowers India's GDP projection for 2022 financial year 2023 to 6.3%. Financial year 24 retained at 6.7%. The Asian Development Bank lowered India's gross domestic product projection by 1 percentage point for fiscal 2022-23 to 6.3% from 6.4%. The economic growth estimate was revised down on account of slowing exports and the likely impact of erratic rainfall on agricultural output. The GDP projection for current fiscal 23-24, however, was retained at 6.7%, and rising private investment and industrial output are expected to drive growth. So moving to business line, India is leading the world on how people and business embrace messaging, says Mark Zuckerberg. The Meta founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg on Wednesday said India is leading the world on how people and businesses have embraced messaging as a better way to get this done. As the social media giant Meta unveiled a slew of new tools aimed at supercharging business using WhatsApp. Announcing the lineup of key offerings for WhatsApp, Mark Zuckerberg said the company has continued to innovate with its messaging format, group chats, and broadcast channels. The World Sugar Organization estimates global output to drop by 1.21% next season. The global sugar production will likely to drop by 1.21% in 23-24 season starting October, while the market is projected to face a deficit of 2.118 million tons. The International Sugar Organization has estimated this number. The organization has projected sugar production in 23-24 at 174.84 metric ton against 177.02 MT this season. Consumption may increase to 176.96 MT compared with 176.53 MT. This will result in a deficit of 2.118 MT against a surplus of 0.493 MT this season. Moving to business standard, government plans over $2 billion in incentives for new manufacturing sectors. India is planning to offer incentives of up to 180 billion rupees, that is $2.2 billion to spur local manufacturing in 6 new sectors, including chemicals, shipping containers, and inputs for vaccines, 2 government officials said. The proposal is part of the country's 1.97 trillion rupee production-linked incentive scheme launched in 2020, which currently targets 14 sectors ranging from electronic products to drones, but has been successful only in a handful of them. The 10th and last news for the day from Business Standard: RBI infuses liquidity as banking system faces highest deficit since 2020. The banking system's liquidity deficit approached rupees 1.47 trillion on Monday, making the highest deficit since 29 January 2020, when it escalated to rupees 3 trillion. To combat this, the RBI infused rupees 1.47 trillion on Monday and an additional 1.46 trillion on Tuesday. Market analysts predict that the disbursement of rupees 25,000 crore as the second tranche of incremental cash reserve ratio will be insufficient to ease the liquidity strain. They forecast the liquidity deficit may swell to rupees 2 trillion in short term, exacerbated by tax outflows and onset of the festive season. Looking at the markets yesterday, there was a meltdown in the market little bit. Sensex closed 796 points down, that is 1.17% down at 66,800.84. Nifty 50 closed to 31.90 down, that is 1.15% down at 19,901.40. So that's the quick roundup of business news from various newspapers today. Thanks for tuning in and watching this. We'll see you soon with more updates tomorrow. Thanks a lot and have a wonderful day ahead.